Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna see how to create the virtual machines in the Azure. So let me log into the my Azure portal first, from where I can see my resources and all. So that's the dashboard, and so I do have only two resource groups at the moment. So I'll be creating one resource group from Azure CLI, and that resource group will be named as Kantipur. So there will be altogether three resource groups then. So for that, I'll be opening the PowerShell, and in the PowerShell, I'll be giving a command to create the resource group. So to create the resource group, I'll give a command AZ, that's an Azure CLI group create, and you need to specify the name of the resource group that you want and the location. So the location at the moment is the Australia East. So you can see the success status, and when you refresh this page, then you'll see the resource group that you have just created is created. I mean, it's listed there. So sometimes it takes time just to clear the cache and everything, but if you try, then yeah. So that's the one resource group that I've created. Now I'll be creating my virtual machine in this resource group. So to do that, you can see the location and everything is all as you said. So I will be creating a virtual machine now. So to create the virtual machine, we have Azure VM command. So Azure VM create a resource. You need to specify the resource group under which you want to create the virtual machine. You have to give the name of the virtual machine. Again, you have to give the the location, but before that you need to give the image as well, right? So the image, which image I need to provide, so that image I am going to copy here, because this image you need to specify on the virtual machine CLI commands, right, under the image parameter. So let's create Azure VM, create Kantipur, then after the virtual machine name will be test VM, and the location will be Australia East, and the admin user for me will be something like Bhuvan, and the image I will set is the image that I have just copied. So the location Australia East. So this process takes some time to complete. So that's what the image is. So you can choose any image as you like. So this process will take some time, and it's asking for the admin password. And you should know that in this virtual machine, by default, the RDP port is opened. So that is the port number 3389. That port is opened by default, so that you can use the RDP connector to connect to this desktop or to this server. So you can see so many things are created here, right? The public IP address, the network security, group name, and these are created by defaults. So you can specify the name as well. So if you open this resource group, Kantipur, then you can see quite a few things there. IP, the network security group, then after the virtual machine itself, then the VNet, and so on, even the network interface cards and everything. So you can see the public IP. So that public IP is there to use to access the server, and you can use this RDB tab to download the RDB connector file, where we will be giving the IP of this particular server and a username and the password that I have just given. So we'll do that. So the username is Bhuvan and the password is ... So let me connect it. So I hope, so let's check this one, and probably yes. So this is the login. So here currently I'm logging to the to my virtual machine. Basically it's a server 2019. So here I am logging in, and now the next step will be This step will allow me to take me to the some default actions where I can add or remove the role for the server. So that's provided by the server manager that you can see here. um, so this server manager, if you can look, then you can add a role. So at the moment I will be adding this server as a web server role. So yeah, so here again you can see the list of the resources that are created by default when you create the virtual machines, and these are the rules. Like, say, I just told you before, 3389 port, it's opened by default for the RDP connection. And here what I need is, so since I mentioned earlier, I want to make my server as a web server, so I need to open the port 80. So you need to add the inbound rule for that. So this inbound rule is basically you can add manually from here. We'll do by using a CLI. So when we add this CLI, then that rule will be listed here. So now I'm here back to the server, and in this server I'm adding this server as a web server role. So this web server role is I just need to add some few default stuffs here so that we can enable this server as a web server, and we will check once this installation is complete, we will check whether the local host is working or not. So just bear in mind, at the moment we are inside a server, not in public, so it takes a little bit of time. So once this is completed, so let's wait for that, and it's about to finish now. Yeah, you can see here the IIS option. So this IIS is there. This means now this server is acting as a web server. You can host the external application in this server. Okay, so the next step is I'll check the local host, it's working or not. So I will be typing the local host here, so I should be able to see some default website. So this default website I will access from the outside public as well, because I do have the IP address of for this particular server, the public IP address for this server. So now here let's create, as I mentioned here, let's enable the port 80 here. So to enable the port 80 again, so Azure VM open port, and we need to specify the name of this resource group as a contributor, and the name of the test virtual machine, and then the port, so the port that you want to open. So at the moment here I want to open the port 80, so you can give the test VM as a the virtual machine name and the port that you want to open. So that should be like dash port, that should be 80. So now if you access this one, so now once you add a port from there, again as I mentioned earlier, so a new list will be listed there, because at the moment it's not enabled, right? So that's why the website is not visible. But let's enable the port 80, so it should be like something dash port. So the 80 is now enabled, so it's running, and I will get the success message soon that the inbound rule for the port 80 is created. That means the port 80 is now exposed to the public. The public can use the domain name for that virtual machine or the IP address for that virtual machine to access the particular website that's configured there in the initpub. So we'll try modifying that initpub contents as well. So here is the side-by-side view, just to make sure it's easy to follow. Now you can see here this port 80 rule is now added, and this is allow, so the inbound is allowed at port 80. All right, now we will see to access the website from the public here. So let's see what output I guess. So I can access the web websites, the web application that is there in the VM here from the public now. So here, as I said earlier, I will be modifying some of the unit pump the website content. So I'll be opening this with the notepad here, and I will be adding one header as one label header or whatever modifications that you want. So I just want to make you that this can be editable. So that's the location where you will be putting all of your contents and save your contents, so that this can be solved outside. So let's modify this. So any content you want. So that's one tag at the moment, just to make sure it's shouting big. Okay, I'll save the content, and if you see within the virtual machine now here, if you refresh it, then you will see that modification, the big H1 hello Azure web server, and I should be able to see this same from public as well. So that's a local host. Basically it's the IP address of the server. So if you have the domain name, yeah, then you give the domain name, otherwise give the IP. So it's the same thing. It will be resolve the contents. So this kind of ports, if you don't need them, remove that 80 port. So this 80 port I have removed means it won't be able to see the websites anymore. So then after I'll be deleting all these, because this is the trial and it charges the money. So I'm deleting all my group. So I'm deleting whole my contributor resource group here, and it will delete all these resources as well, which are whatever the resources that you have created within this resource group contributor. All the resources would be deleted, so that the Azure won't charge me the money. So I have an experience that I created the VM and I've left them for like weeks, and they charged me some amount. So you need to be careful on this. So just don't delete them as soon as you. So then after log off from both the sides, you can log off from the browser as well as it's not the log off, it's a log out, I guess. Yeah, that's a exit log out.